Hey y'all, I am in the kitchen today and I'm going to be making a raspberry habanero jam. Now, if habanero is too hot for you, you can substitute the habanero for something lower on the Scoville scale, like jalapenos or poblano peppers. But this is spicy. It does have a kick to it. It's a little bit of heat. You can lessen the heat by removing the seeds if you want, or you can leave the seeds in if you've got a high tolerance for the heat. Or like I said, you can use the jalapenos or the poblanos or something else that has a lot less heat. As Tommy likes to say, habaneros are hot going in and hot coming out. So you can use less habaneros than the recipe calls for. The recipe calls for 5. You can use 2 or 3, and like I said, remove the seeds. It's all up to you and your taste. But if you don't have a tolerance for spicy foods, habaneros are not for you. Like I said, stick to jalapenos or something like a poblano pepper that's a lot lower on the Scoville scale. So I have a chicken outside that will not be quiet. It's literally under my house squawking. So this recipe calls for vinegar, bell pepper, habanero peppers, sugar, raspberries, pectin, and of course your jars and lids. The way that you would use this raspberry habanero jam is, some people put it on ice cream. I don't put it on ice cream. I don't really like the spiciness on my vanilla ice cream, but some people do. So it's good with cream cheese on crackers. It's good with various meats. It can be good with fish. I prefer it with pork and chicken to use it like a barbecue sauce. So if you like a spicier barbecue sauce, you might like this recipe. It has that right amount of sweet and tangy because of the vinegar. So it's like a sweet, tangy, spicy barbecue sauce is what I use it for. If you want it to be thinner, then don't use the whole package of pectin and you'll have more of a pourable sauce. But I really like it. I like anything raspberry, but I really like the raspberry habanero jam with cream cheese and crackers to make it into a dip. Like, it's perfect game day dip. So I'm gonna put my hair up and let's get started making this jam. Okay, I'm getting my jars, lids, and rings ready over here in a pot of boiling water. And in the meantime, I'm going to measure 6 cups of sugar into this pot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 cups of sugar. To that, I'm going to add my 2 12-ounce bags of frozen raspberries that I have. It's just 2 12-ounce frozen red raspberries. Dump that in there. Dump that one in there. If you're going to be using pectin, go ahead and put however much pectin you want in here now. My original recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of pectin. Now, in the past when I've made this, 3 tablespoons left it kind of runny, and I'm good with that. So that wouldn't be a full package of pectin. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Remember, I use this like a barbecue sauce, and barbecue sauce isn't really thick. So if you want it thicker, add the whole package. I'm just using 3 tablespoons, and I'm going to put that back in the box. Now I'm going to add 1½ cups of white vinegar. It's of course the 5% vinegar. Everybody knows that cans. If you don't know that, well, don't use cleaning vinegar to make jelly or jam. Alright, I'm going to stir all that up. And then I'm going to get this on the burner and let it start heating up while I process my peppers. Love the smell of raspberries. Alright, let's get this on the burner and let it start simmering and work on our peppers. Alright, so wash your peppers. This is the bell pepper, of course. I'm going to cut that off. I don't mind the seeds, but some people are all about getting rid of those seeds. So if you want to get rid of your seeds, get rid of them. Then I'm going to cut it into a couple of pieces because this is going to go into my Ninja to get chopped up. Now, if you want to wear gloves because of the hotness of the habaneros, go ahead. Don't touch your eyes and wash your hands good if you don't use gloves. Take the seeds out if you want. These again are going into a food processor, a Ninja, so I'm not going to cut them up too much. This isn't all going into one jar. You got to keep that in mind. It's going into about 5 or 6 jars. So all the heat's not going to be concentrated into one jar. If it were one jar, this would be way too many peppers. Especially habanero. Alright, so we got the seeds out. And now we're going to get these into the Ninja. Alright, let's get these peppers in here. So I added it to the raspberry mixture. If this is your first time making something like this, I suggest you only start out with a couple of habaneros and move up from there later on when you make it a second time, because I would rather you not make it too spicy and then have a bunch of jars of this stuff that you can't even eat. So I did do 5. We're going to start cooking this down until all of the sugar is dissolved. And I'm going to take my potato masher. I'm going to switch spoons here. And I'm going to squish those raspberries, which I could have put in the Ninja as well, but I usually just use this potato masher. I'll turn the heat up a little bit and we're going to bring this to a boil. How long that takes really depends on your stove, your altitude, whether you're gas or electric. So I can't say, oh, that's going to take about 5 minutes. Everybody wants me to do that, but I can't. So just bring it to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, you're going to boil it for 5 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I have habanero juice on my lips and my lips are on fire. You would think I would know better at this point in life. Alright. So I'll be back when this has come to a boil. Now that it's boiling, you're going to want to boil it for 5 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes and start. And after 5 minutes, we're going to ladle it into the jars. Leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. Fill each of your jars. If you need to come back and add some or take it away later, you can. It's kind of hard to tell how much you have in there when you've got the funnel in there. I have a bunch of smaller ones, and then I've got the bigger one. When you're working with fruit, it's hard to gauge sometimes how many jars it's going to fill because, you know, moisture content and everything. I'm going to have enough for one more jar, even if it's a small jar. I'm going to go ahead and add some to some of these jars that don't have enough in them. Get my 1/4 inch headspace. And then just pour the rest of this in this extra jar that will go straight into the refrigerator. Now I'm just going to take some vinegar and wipe around the rims here. Make sure they're good and clean so that we get a good tight seal. You can use plain water if you want. You can use vinegar. Not a dairy product, so won't hurt anything to use vinegar, which helps get rid of some of that stickiness, whereas water doesn't always help with that stickiness. So I hear people all the time going, why do we use vinegar? Well, like I said, it helps with some of that stickiness. All right. Hot, hot, hot. Now that those are wiped, we're going to put our lids on, which I've had in hot water, and our bands, and we're going to put them on finger tight. You want them a little loose. The reason you only do them finger tight is because the lid is just holding it, the ring is just holding it there, and this allows some of the air to escape. It's just kind of holding the lid in place so the lid can seal. Alright, let's get the rest of these on here. And then we are going to get these into a water bath. The one that was a partial jar, I'm not going to water bath. There's no point. Just going to put a lid on it. And once the jar is cooler, put it in the fridge. Oops, forgot the big one. Alrighty. And get these back into the pot, and we are going to water bath these for 15 minutes. They are all in the water bath canner, and once they come to a boil, I'll set my timer for 15 minutes, so I'll be back. And after 15 minutes, I turned it off and let it cool, and now I'm going to let them finish cooling on the counter. I will make sure they have sealed before I put them on the shelf. Then you just put some cream cheese in a bowl, put some over it, and then you can put your crackers around it. These were the only kind of crackers we had, so that's the kind I'm going to put in here. And there you go. Here are all of my jars after several hours of cooling. Now if you want to see if it actually sealed, you pick it up by the lid, and if the lid doesn't come off, then you have a true seal, and you can leave the ring off if you're not giving it to somebody. Very easy to make and great to have on hand. As you can see, mine's going to get a little thicker, but it is still kind of runny. Like I said, it's not completely cold, so it will get thicker, but it's not thick jam consistency because I want it kind of syrupy, like I said, like a barbecue sauce. And if you don't want to can it like this, you can just make a batch and put it in the refrigerator for your party or whatever you're going to be using it for. You don't have to actually can this. So that's how you make raspberry habanero jam or sauce if you leave the pectin out or use less pectin. Thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.